All right. So yesterday we had gone about getting a lot of these places set up. We kind of just followed detail from detail. First, we learned about Lomalago because that was a place that we learned Dago had worked before. And there was a few things that we hadn't really finished yet. I think if we went to, maybe it was something on Beneath's page. Yeah, we don't have these places out on the map yet. We could make a page about the Slithers, and we also can make a page about Jolakar, or the Expanse. So there's a few things here that we can fill in. Oh, I see. It's not logged me in. Give me a moment here. There we go. Let's start with a page on Numenacris. So this will be a geographic location. And it is an option just for a land. Empire. Kingdom? Nope. All right. Region. Great. All right. Numenacris is a major region of the Radrigar known world. Primarily centered around Traders Bay. Nacris is a land of jungles, rivers, and mountains. I guess I should have left the map open so that we could look at that as we go. All right, so this is the area we're looking at here. This is Traders Bay. We haven't really talked much about it yet in any of the stories, but a lot of the trade beyond what goes into the Expanse is going through Traders Bay and out towards other lands or coming in through Traders Bay. And you can see there's lots of cities built up around the bay because it's just such a popular trading spot between the cities and abroad. We'll add people who traditionally have lived in this region, are called Numen, and are of a dark complexion. And make a little section on history. Actually, I guess this will be description. We can add on here, Numenacris is ruled present-day Numenacris is ruled by the Empire of Numenacris under the Eternal Emperor Tegna and his father before him. We don't know how long exactly, like what year exactly the empire was founded, but we will fill that in eventually once we create a page for them, or once we discover that in the Lives of Gethra story. All right. So If we add back here, we can copy a link to Numenacris, and we want to add that onto Vaynuth's page. Next, we'll head over to the map, and we're going to create a location for Rainrest and Nokire. Oh, we did add one for Rainrest. That's good. I'll just need to link it up then. But we can add one in for Nokire now, which is where we've just seen. Now, I think, is there an even smaller dot we can use? Looks the same to me. It's too bad I can't see those. All right, well, for now, we'll just leave it as that dot. Let's head over to our articles now, and we can copy Rainrest. We'll drop that on Vaynuth's page. Now, did that save? Let's take a look. Yes, great. All right, Nokire is a town. Is a major trade town along the Imperial Highway of Numenacris. Most trade into the Expanse goes through this town. Let's add a little section for denizens. The lowly, daughter of, I don't remember. Kishik. We can copy Nokire, and we'll put that in there on Vaynuth's page as well. All right, great. Cool, so now let's make a group or a page on the slithers. So they are a species. Alright, so the Slithers are a reptilian race with traits resembling snakes, lacking voice boxes like their reptilian cousins. Communication with the Slithers has always been complicated. For the traders accessing the Expanse and daring to trade with the often hostile Slithers, a simple language of glyph characters has been devised and agreed upon. So they've made a kind of like a cue card system of letters to convey, what they mean, and the Slithers can reciprocate that on a common understanding. We'll also add the deeper portion of the desert is known as the Scale Lands as a cartographer's warning not to travel there. In the Scale Lands, most Slither tribes have not encountered humans and see them as another animal prey to be hunted. Very dangerous if you have a whole tribe of snake people after you. So that is the Slithers there. Save that. All right, saved that. Lastly, let's make a page for Master Jolakar. He is a character. Jolakar, Master. Let's just leave it at Jolakar, actually. Master Jolakar is a caravan owner in the early 1400s. Who eventually sold his caravan to an underling, Venuth. Actually, we just want to go to articles. Might as well get that link for Venuth while we're here. Upon his retirement. And we don't really know if anything else ever came of him, so that's what we have for now. All right. So I think that is it for Venuth's page, at least based on the information we have for her for now. Actually, there's one more thing that we can create a page on. Perhaps a more bleak thing, or dark, but part of Gethra's world nonetheless. Let's see here. We'll call it a tradition. And that is, unfortunately, slavery, which features as a social issue in Gethra, as characters sometimes are at odds with it or influenced by it. All right. So, unfortunately, parts of Gethra still follow the traditions of slavery. Often, it is not fueled by race or ethnicity, but rather social caste or creed. Slavery is most prominent on the Isles. Hang on, let's see here. On the coast of Radrigar, parts of the Great Isle, Kedar port or Kedar Isle, and in parts of the Elder Coast. Slavery has been abolished by the Empire of Numenacrus. It is frowned upon by the Admosepti, which we mentioned at one point recently as one of the major religions of Gethra. I think let's actually add there. There are many areas around the Grey Sea. The Grey Sea is kind of the main sea of these islands. Slaves are marked with a circular brand that provides identifying information as to their owners. Brand between their shoulder blades. Very inhumane. All right. We're going to copy that and put that on into Vainith's thing here. So, 2 brands, one from her days as a slave. I guess we'll do it this way. So then if anyone's like, wait, what's with the brand, then they can go to that page and understand. With Gethra being a world that is driven by player choice, these things that have been set up as part of the history are possible to change. And there is currently, I don't want to spoil too much on the story, but with the books here, I've written content for 1479, 1480, and even 1481, which is not quite published yet, but 1481. And during some of the events, there has begun a great war and a lot of strife across the Grey Sea. So who knows what social system will form in the aftermath of this strife, and if slavery will be less common or more common as a result, depending on the stakes there, and depending on the decisions of those who will impact that outcome. So, all right. Now we just touch on a bunch of places in that, I'm sure. Cool. Let's make a article for the Great Isle, because we now have that mentioned on King. What was his name? Asharo. King Asharo is from the Great Isle. So I'm wondering if this should be a pin or just a. Yeah, I can put a pin on the. It's not really set up for that. Well, can I just leave it as this generic pin, I guess? So we'll say the Great Isle. Stormy Sea. The Great Isle is the largest landmass between the Grey Sea and the Stormy Sea. At one time, it was attached to Radrigar, but the landmass was decimated by the collision of the Orish. Here. Many of the inhabitants of the Great Isle are traditionally Oreen descent. The Oreen culture dates back to before, actually the Oreen people group, we'll say, dates back to before the Orish, when the old empire of Norris fought a great war against the Oreen from south of the seas. So at one time, this was all part of Radrigar and Radrigar's empire, and invaders from south of the sea were coming, and a large war was fought. And then the Orish put an end to that, and so many of the people left on the Great Isle, or those that recovered from this cataclysm, are of the southern descent of people. Let's add in another history section. Some of that's already in history, but I think it's just part of the description. So we're going to say that the present day, the Great Isle, is ruled by local monarchs called barons. The barons frequently declare war on one another. But these wars are more for sport and competition than any actual change in land holdings. All right, I think that's probably enough, at least to get the Great Isle there. So I did mention this last time as well, guys, that I had set up here. Let me just show these panels off this time. That I got this site set up. So if I bring this over here, here's our about panel on my live stream, and you can see down below here you've got a few different links. So you can tip the channel, you can check out Twitter, my YouTube, my Lives of Gethra website, which I've shown before on the stream. There we are. You can check out my books on Amazon if you're interested in the books. Oh, look, my podcast is on there as well now. And I now today added for everyone a link to the wiki. So now you can follow along with the world building. You can access all this information, search it up. I'm going to add in here a hierarchy so that you can easily see all that content like you would on a different wiki. And then it's all public for you guys. All right, so the Great Isle, let's add a link to that. There. What else was mentioned in that article? Oh, we have Numenakers. We should add in maybe a page for the Empire of Numenakers specifically. geopolitical empire. Great. All right. The Empire of Numenacris is a contemporary sovereignty ruling the region of Numenacris. Whatever happened to Ren? Well, he's still out there. I don't want to get too far into spoilers since we're reading his story live. So we'll have to find out what happened to him. We should set up his page here in a minute, if you'd like, on the wiki. The Empire of Numenacris is a contemporary sovereignty ruling the region of this. It is ruled by the Eternal Emperor Tagna, who has ruled there for 270, how many years here? Let me double check something for a second here. $278 years. All right. Well, I can set it up with the information from the. I can set up Ren's page with the information from the story so far, anyway. If we do continue Ren's story at some point, that'll probably be in the same format of Lives of Gethra on the website. But on the wiki here, we're going to be looking at more historical figures and, or I mean, just in general in the Knaves Guild channel, we're going to be looking at more historical figures and doing kind of like a micro version of what we did for Lives of Gethra, but for everyone, for all these historical characters and adventurers and captains and whatever, generals. All right, so, oops. Copy that. Go there. All right, we should also make a page for the Atmos Septi. Thanks. Enjoy your shift. This is a religion. Interesting. There's a lot of different types of religions. I think we'll call this a holy order. Sure. All right, the Atmos Septi, colloquially known as the Grey Brethren, are a religious order based in Sanazar. Since the fall of the Orish, over a millennia ago, the Atmos Septi have spread their teachings with the intent of preventing another such disaster.